the whole thing had sailed through, and Phyllis Schlafly jumped in and raised all sorts of doubts, many of them unsubstantiated, some of them with some substance, but I don't think now have substance. We'll see later in the program. We'll get into some discussion, I think, of that. But at any rate, she raised doubts, and when you have got a system like the U.S. system with so many veto points, and you've got something like a constitutional amendment which is designed not to get through, needs two-thirds of both houses of the Congress, needs three-quarters of the states. It's designed to be easily blocked. That's how we set it up. Well, then, if you design something to be easily blocked, it's relatively easy to block it. So that was built into the very structure. You raise some doubt, that's it, maybe.
Article 5 of the Constitution sets out two requirements for amending the Constitution, which our Constitution has been amended 27 times. A really great start in the 1700s, a beginning, but clearly work needed to be done to include people and fix things that were not even thought of then. For instance, the fact that I'm sitting here, a Black woman, a descendant of slaves, it was not thought of, when that Constitution was written. So, we do need some stipulation that says that women exist. They, deserve equal footing in the country. And the only way we can get that, and as we, in the midst of systemic racism, sexism charges, whatever, you cannot get any more systemic than the Constitution. That is the playbook. That's what sets, the way we live, the rights we have, the responsibilities we have. And so without question, we believe at the ERA Coalition that we need to fix the Constitution to give women the rights that men have, but more than that now because of the recent Supreme Court decision, so that there will be no discrimination based on sex.
It seems to me that the physical weaknesses of women in comparison to men make women uniquely vulnerable if they were to be put in with male inmates in prison. But according to the way we've treated race in this question, and if we were to raise sex at the same level, that would not be considered a good enough reason to keep separate men's and women's prisons, which after all is a discrimination on the basis of sex. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the laws that recognize these very real differences between men and women that, again, might not matter in, a certain academic context. They don't matter in, let's say, 99% of situations in life. But they matter enormously in certain types of situations. So again, for example, public universities have sports teams, right? They have generally male and female sports teams. We are having this huge debate over, what to do with a small number of people who are born one sex and identify as the other, right? So, but the ERA, in my view, would sort of would make that debate sort of irrelevant, because it wouldn't matter whether somebody identifies as which sex. It would just be, I'm a boy, I want to run on the women's track team because perhaps my score doesn't qualify for the men's track team, but it does beat out all of the women's scores on the women's track team. I am being kept out from this team exclusively because of my sex as a man. That's a discrimination based on sex, and an ERA would make that a viable constitutional challenge.